Hi everyone, today it's my third episode and I'm so excited about my today's guest. You know about the stuff that happened in Israel, especially in Nova Festival, and you know that I care about women's rights. It's our slogan in Iran, Woman Life Freedom. So I'm privileged to first of all introduce to you a Nova Festival survivor and a brave woman and a jackpot in Middle East, Israeli Iranian woman. Let me introduce to you Natalie Sanandaji. I said Natalie with Persian accent. Natalie Sanandaji. Thank you, Natalie, for your time. Let me play the cheering for you. Wait. It comes. Okay. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love that you said my name the Persian way, not Tully. That's how my dad says
Natalie.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, it's so nice. It's so nice to be here on the podcast. I'm honored to be your third guest. It's very exciting.
And the first woman on my podcast, on my
Oh,
platform,
wow.
it's,
A
it's
very
a
big
privilege
honor.
for me. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate your time. Um, let's jump into it. First of all, how are you still so strong? You know, because I realized that Israelis, for the stuff that happens all the time around them, in their neighborhood in Middle East, they have to be strong. They don't have any
Mhm.
other choice. But there is a kind of resilience that I see in every Israeli woman and man. Especially, I see it in your in you also. That you're a Nova Festival survivor. I mean, that's something that it's not easy to digest, I'm guessing. So how are you still on your feet? You're standing for your own rights. You're fighting for it. I know that you're traveling and giving your testimony, your the witness of Nova Festival, and you try to inform people in your own way. How is it, first of all, for you personally, and second of all, for the society, that you people can still fight hard for your future and your freedom in such a powerful way?
So I think for me, my driving force in continuing to speak and staying strong is the same force that was the reason why I started speaking to begin with. The reason why I started speaking was because I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the ones who survived, and I felt that I owed it to all of those who didn't survive. I felt that I owed it to all of those who were taken hostage. I felt that I owed it to all of those who were too traumatized to speak, to be their voice. And they're the reason why I started speaking out. They're the reason why I continue speaking out, to continue to remind the world that we still have hostages being held in Gaza almost 2 years later, to remind the world why this war started. And this war touches on every part of who I am as a human being. I'm not only a woman, not only a Nova survivor, I'm not only um, a Jew, but I'm a Persian Jew. And I feel like it's almost my responsibility as the only Persian Nova survivor, at least the only Persian Nova survivor that I know of, um, to be that voice, to show the rest of the world what this war is really about. Because a lot of people have been brainwashed to believe that this war is about Israel versus Palestine. And I think something that I realize is that the Iranian diaspora and the Iranian community in Iran, they're the only people that I didn't have to explain this war to, because they understand better than anyone what this war is really about. It's about the IRGC and all of its proxies versus all Western civilization, not just versus Israel. And I feel
We've
that as a
we financed
Persian,
it for decades
yeah,
without our will.
yeah. And I feel that as a Persian Nova survivor, I feel like I'm in a I'm in a special position where I can speak out on behalf of both communities, on behalf of the Jewish community and the Persian community. And I can try to educate and try to explain to the rest of the world what this war is really about. And That's what pushes me to go forward. That's what pushes me to stay strong, is to be that voice for the voiceless, for those
But
who don't have a voice.
how do you manage the feelings, Natalie? You've seen kind of, the absolute massacre. I mean, I don't want to
Yeah.
get into that if it's so
No, of
emotional
course,
for you.
I'm happy to get into it. It's important to me to speak about it. And I always explain to people that while I was running from Hamas, I I was disassociating. I felt like I was having an out of body experience, and I realized in the days after the festival that I was still disassociating, that I wasn't feeling all of those emotions. I was very disconnected from it. And at the time I considered it my superpower. I felt that because I was disassociating, it gave me the ability to speak without crying, without breaking down, without being traumatized every time I talked about it. And because of that, I started interviewing very soon after. I started interviewing 4 days after the attacks. And I was doing, for the first
Wow.
month, I was doing 4 to 6 interviews a day for 5 to 6 days a week. So imagine in that first month, I told my story over and over and over again.
Mm.
And a lot of trauma professionals, people who work in healing trauma, told me that I kind of healed my own trauma that way. That because I was telling my story over and over again, I I in a way healed my own trauma, and that's part of the reason why I'm able to stay strong today, because I spoke about it so much, because I kind of healed myself when I was trying to be a voice for other people. I was actually healing myself, and I that's kind of what keeps me strong. That's kind of what helps me to continue to speak about it.
And you know what I find so really fucked up about it is that most of the people that they were in Nova Festival, they were leftists.
That's the irony that a lot of people don't know, and I'm so happy you brought that up. It's very ironic because most of the people at the Nova Festival, and also most of the people that were living in those areas, they chose to live next to Gaza for a reason, because they believed in peace with our neighbors more than anyone else in Israel. That's why they wanted to live next to them. That's why they chose to live so close to them. And there's so many examples of people from those communities that spent so much of their life helping the people in Gaza. Like there was an example of a woman, in the first few weeks of the war, I spoke at an event with her grandson. And at this time when they had the event, they thought that she was still alive. They thought that she was a hostage in Gaza. And basically she was very old, and I think she was in her 80s. And she spent most of her life going into Gaza, picking up sick children and bringing them to hospitals in Israel. And after the event that I spoke at with her grandson, they found out that she was murdered on October 7th. Um, and it was, I think she was like burnt alive in her own home, and it was very hard to like find her body. That's why they didn't realize that she was killed at first, because it was hard to find any piece of her body to recognize her. And that's the irony behind it, is that she spent most of her life helping them, and then they ended up murdering her.
It's always something that I really, it's hard for me to feel it or understand it, because I'm a party person. I'm 25. I'm young, and
Hmm.
I've used, for example, mushroom, magic mushroom, or kind of, like weed, whatever. And
Yeah.
I want to wear their shoes, I like to put myself in their position, and you have you're a leftist, you have this feeling that they will not harm you, and it's beautiful. It proves that how they were seeking after and they were peace seekers, we can call it,
Yeah.
and they are just enjoying their freedom, in the heart of the Middle East, at the middle of the Middle East, beautiful. And you're on some kind of drug, you're just dancing, you're trying to have good good time. You know, I have this phrase in my mind always that everything will die, everything, except the moments that we live. That moment is immortal.
Yeah,
That will not die. You know,
that's
and
beautiful.
I am also an atheist. I don't believe in afterlife. Um, God bless Charlie Kirk. He got shot yesterday, and it's also another disaster. We will talk about it also. But
Yeah,
you know,
it's important to talk about.
I I really it's one of the aspects that in my with my personal feelings I can feel it, and it's so hard for me is that they were just having fun, you know, and that's the cruelty and brutality of radical Islam, that they are ruining a whole region. They ruined a
Hmm.
whole nation called Iran. Now they are doing it with the region. And for example, they are bragging right now, they are outraged about, oh my God, Israel did bomb Qatar. Do you know what Qatar is? Qatar did fund the whole terrorism for decades. And these the people, they don't know shit about Middle East, you know, pure ignorance. The same way about Nova Festival, you know, peaceful people. Most of them, probably I am 100% sure most of them they didn't even vote for Netanyahu. Maybe today they wanted to vote for Naftali Bennett or what or whoever. But they got killed, massacred, and
It's
it's unbelievable.
it's really it's crazy, first of all, at the festival itself, I always tell people, um I've done shrooms and so on and so forth, and specifically at this festival, I was sleeping right before the attacks. And because of that, I was completely sober when we were running from Hamas. Um, but my body, like my mind, like naturally, like disassociated from the situation because the situation was too hard for me. Because it's really crazy to think, you were just partying with your friends, you were just dancing, you were just listening to music. You going to these festivals is something that we do to escape all the
Yeah,
shit of the world. And then all the shit of the world came to us at the festival while we were trying to escape, while we were trying to enjoy for a moment. And it's interesting because people who don't understand what radical Islam can do are the people who are supporting what happened on October 7th. And most of these people don't realize what Iran was before the revolution. A lot of these people think that Iran was always the way it is today.
mm,
People don't understand that Iran was very Western and very free before the revolution. If people better like knew history, if people better understood history, they would understand that what happened to Iran can happen to them as well. And it's currently happening. That's what people don't understand. That's what I'm afraid of, that people
mm.
won't realize that it's happening until it's too late.
One of the leaders of Hamas, one time I've heard that he said, I said it also in other episode. He said that Islamic revolution in Iran was a turning point. And I
Hmm.
was like, Islamic revolution, why is a turning point? And he was talking about the history of Islam, Islamic world. Then I realized he's right. It was the first time in the history of Islam that they could take over a country without any guns or, you know, direct attack or war or conquer. They did it with kind of soft power, revolution. That's the turning point in Islam. And now you can see it. They have a
Hmm.
practical example, and now you can see how easily, how um, consistent they can implement it country by country by country. UK is
Yeah.
lost. UK is absolutely lost. There is no hope for UK either. My personal
Same with
opinion.
France.
France, I think Le Pen is better. I'm leftist. I'm center left. I don't like right wing, hard, far right. Especially, I mean, it's also a label, but AFD in Germany is really a far right, and they don't have any plan. You know, I don't like them. But for example, Le Pen, I've heard a speech from her today, but I'm pragmatic. You know, if you're telling the truth, I don't care. but Le Pen was, she's a woman, first of all. It's so strong.
Hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
And she was talking, she was addressing the enforcement of law. As a leftist, I like that. You know, that it's true.
yeah,
In France, we don't have law and order anymore. At least I feel like that. I don't know if any French people we have that they hear it in Paris. I think they don't have, because it shows that they are at a kind of mm, emergency state in Paris after the
yeah,
PSG Champions League final. Did you see what happened?
yeah, yeah.
It's madness.
But that's something that I've tried to explain to so many people is you know, the leaders of the IRGC, um, they a lot of people say, you know, they took a page from Hitler's book. They saw what Hitler did and they realized that Hitler was thinking too short term. Hitler tried to physically take the Jews and just put them in a concentration camp and get rid of them. So they understood we have to think long term. How do we really create a bigger effect in this world? And they have been doing this for years. They were really playing the long game by infiltrating the minds of people. You
Mhm.
know, the Muslim extremists, they used to force people into forced conversions. When
Yeah,
you try to force something on someone, it makes it bitter for them. They don't want it. So instead of forcing forced conversions, they brainwash people into converting themselves.
yeah,
And you see that you saw, I know from speaking to Iranian adults that were part of the revolution
like
that
in
they
1979, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So they were brainwashed. They were like, let's
yeah.
say they were teenagers at the time or college students at the time. They were brainwashed, and as soon as the IRGC took power,
They've
they
eliminated the
realized,
whole left spectrum.
yeah, and they realized right away after they took power that they were tricked. They
Yeah,
were tricked into helping this person take away all their rights. And they regretted being part of that movement. But they were brainwashed because they were young, because they were impressionable. And now, you know, as the children of Iranian parents who were alive during the time of the revolution, we know how the revolution started in Iran. And we're seeing the same thing happen. They the IRGC saw how well it worked, that they were able to trick the young people and brainwash the young people through the schools in Iran, and how well it worked to take
yeah,
over
yeah, yeah,
Iran.
yeah. And
And they did it in the United States. They did
yeah,
it. That's why they invested so much of their money into schools in the United States, in
yeah,
Europe,
yeah, yeah,
and American, all Western people are too naive. They think that it will
yeah.
never happen to them
And they've
because they don't know
improved.
history.
They
Yeah.
they've improved, Natalie. I mean, it's even stronger than before. For example, one of the problems that and critics that I have towards Mohammad Reza Shah is that he had a kind of coalition with Islamists, with
Hmm.
mullahs. He did build thousands of mosques, and mosque
Yeah.
is a political station for Islam. It's a network, and he did help Muslims, and unfortunately, because the other side was they were hard Soviet Union, fucked up Marxist leftists or nationalists, a kind of center left people that he didn't want to make a coalition. They are like Mossadegh people, and
Yeah.
finally he realized I have to make a coalition with mullahs, and that's what they did. They've infiltrated the schools.
Hmm.
They did spread their narrative with their mosques, and that's exactly what they are doing, with the difference that today they are implementing it even better. You don't need a kind of Muslim leader that will make mistakes like Mohammad Reza Shah. You can have an atheist leader, but now you've learned how you can infiltrate the system with institutions, with NGOs, with
Hmm.
Amnesty International. What the Amnesty International must be a huge institution. What the fuck are they doing? Really, sometimes I ask myself. Or UN. They are ruining the whole UN with their actions.
UN has honestly always been pretty corrupt. If you look at UN, Red Cross, even during the time of the World War II, it's on. I don't think it was ever the most pure organization. Um, but something that I think is so important that I try to get across to people, that I try to tell people whenever I go and I speak out at events or during podcasts, during anywhere where I'm given a platform to speak, something I always say is that most of the hate in this world, and if let's say we talk about specifically anti-Semitism, is fueled by ignorance and lack of knowledge and the fact that the education system has failed us. And this also applies to Iran. Because people don't know the history of Iran, because if people don't know history, we're doomed to repeat history. So the fact that people don't understand that Iran used to be a Western, free, beautiful place, and because they see Iran today, they think that that's what Iran always was, they don't realize that it can happen to them. They
Yeah.
don't realize, if they knew that Iran used to be the way that they are now, then they would realize that the way they are now can become Iran. But they don't know that. So they don't see that. They don't understand that. And I think that's part of my mission, is to try to explain that to people, to get that through people's heads before it's too late. And I try to give people an example.
Mm.
My father was born in Iran. My mom's parents were also born in Iran, but my mom and her siblings were born in Israel. And I tell people, my uncle, this was before the revolution, when he finished the army in Israel, he did a trip all over Europe. And at the end of his trip, he went to Iran. And he said Iran was more beautiful and more fun than all of Europe. So people are confused by this story for multiple reasons. Number one, they don't realize how amazing and free and beautiful Iran once was. People truly believe that Iran today is what Iran always was. Number two, people are shocked that an Israeli was able to go to Iran. And I try to
Mm.
explain to people, the Jews and Persians have such a deep, long history. We were not meant to be enemies, and we weren't enemies for most of history. And yes, there were flights from Israel to Iran, back and forth, freely. People were going back and forth. And people don't understand that.
Natalie, I have a
And
question.
yeah,
How your parents got removed from Iran?
my father left a little bit before the revolution.
Hmm.
He was one of the first people in his family to leave because Jews already, they saw something coming. They knew something was going to happen and that it wouldn't be safe for Jews very soon. So people started leaving a little bit before the revolution. My mom's father left way before the revolution. He left in 1950. Because even before then, even before the Islamic Revolution, there was already the poison of this anti-Semitic mindset in people's minds within Iran. And not just anti-Semitic, towards any kind of minority in Iran. Since I started working in activism, I've been in touch with a lot of Iranian activists, and I've created a platform of doing like online events where I invite Iranian activists from all over the world, from all different backgrounds, to speak on events together, to show the world a united front between the Jewish people and the Iranian people against our common enemy. And I remember one woman I had on my event, she's Baha'i,
Hmm.
and she told me what her mom went through as a young girl being Baha'i in Iran, and the fact that these this poisonous mindset against any minority that wasn't Muslim was already in people's hearts and in people's minds before the revolution ever happened. She said the revolution was already inside people before it really
Yeah.
happened in Iran. So yeah, so a lot of Jews already knew that they needed to leave before the revolution even came.
And that's interesting. The Jews that even they've got by force evacuated from Iran. It's interesting that they didn't get evacuated by kind of people's force. They've got evacuated and removed from their own country with a bureaucracy. That's the interesting part about Iran because there is a civilization there, that from the beginning it was based on civil rights.
Yeah,
You know,
in
if
Iran,
you're Iranian, you're
they wrote the
owner.
first list of people's rights. Like they created this idea of what rights a human has.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this about Iran. Like so much of what we have today in regards to human rights started in Persian culture.
And
Um,
that's the problem that I have with their mindset, because they have kind of this post-colonial mindset, mentality, and they can't realize. Even you refer to Persian. Do you know that there is no? We use it because the Europeans and Americans and Westerners, they are familiar with Persian, unfortunately, more than Iran. Because it's a
yeah.
language. But so interestingly, there is no ethnic group in Iran called Persian. Did you know that?
Well, Iran is made up of a lot of ethnic groups. There's Kurd, there's Azeri, but Persians, like obviously the Persian Empire was once a thing, and like Persian is like a
Persian, it's a
sub and
Greek word, Natalie. Did you know that? Persian is not
well,
Iranian.
yeah, they call themselves Aryan first. Like that's where Iran comes from
Yeah,
because
do you know the word parse that they use?
yeah,
Even the word parse is not factual. Historically,
yeah,
they didn't refer to parse. In Achaemenid Empire, Cyrus the Great, it was Ariana. In Sassanid Empire, it
yeah.
was Eran Shah. It was always, I mean, your
That's
ethnicity.
why, people make fun of me when I tell them that we're actually Caucasian. They're like, "What do you mean? You're not white?" And then I have to explain to people that Caucasian, so there was like an anthropologist or something that he was like a white supremacist, and
Hmm.
he found a skull of a human from the mountains of Caucasus, which is in Iran. And it was the most perfect bone structure. So he decided to call this, because that was Caucasian, he wanted to refer to white as Caucasian because he wanted to make white like the perfect race.
Uh,
But really, we're the Caucasians. We're the Aryans. We were called Aryan, like that, like you said, like Ariana. So like that all came from us, and yeah. So people don't realize that like Persian was a word that was created afterwards, but it's how, especially in America, it's how we usually refer to ourselves. You either say Iranian or Persian.
Yeah, that's I think something that we have to change, because I see, unfortunately, a level of hostility towards Iranian. With their bullshit post-colonial perspective, they want to say that, oh my God, Kurds are oppressed, Baluchs are oppressed. I cry for Baluchi children in Iran that they born, and because they are Sunni, they don't fit the narrative of Shia radical Shia Muslims, that they are at the top of the chain food right now, because it's a jungle. When Islamic regime is there, it's a jungle.
Yeah,
And they don't give them identity cards, whatever. They don't recognize them as
yeah.
citizens, and they want to push this fucked up narrative that it's because of their ethnicity. No, it was never about ethnicity in Iran. As I told, that's the point, that we don't have any Persian dominant group in Iran. We have Shirazis, we have Isfahanis, we have Tehranis. Our mother tongue is Persian, and it's funny. If you go back to my ethnicity, maybe my origin is Iranian Arab or something. I don't know. My last name is Ansari, something like that. Or we have the Turk uh, in our family, Kurds in our family. Like the husband of my uncle's daughter is a Kurd
You
from
know what's
Ilan.
funny? Everyone thinks I'm Kurd
Yeah,
because
because
my
Sanandaji.
last name's Sanandaj. And it's funny, it was always a weird story in my family, that because we're one of the only Jewish families with the last name Sanandaji. I think there's two,
Mm,
and it's us and one other family, and then that's it. Anyone else with our last name is not Jewish. So it's very random for us to
mm,
have this last name. And because in Iran they didn't start using last names until I think less than 200 years ago.
yeah.
And people pick their last names either based on what city they were from or what business their family was in. So like, let's say Hawkshore, their families would sift through dirt, they would wash dirt to look for gold. That was like their family's business. So like so many like all these like different last names or Teherani, people that were from or Kashani, they were from Kashan. So apparently my great grandfather picked this last name because he did business in Sanandaj. But we're not Kurdish at all. But I
Uh,
ever since I started speaking out, so many people would message me. They're like, "You're lying. You're not even Persian. You're Kurd. Why are you pretending to speak up for?" And I'm like, I did a DNA test. I got 97% Persian. I don't know, like Iranian. Like I don't know what you want me to tell you. I
tell
just
them I'm
happen to
not
have a Kurdish
Persian.
last name.
No, tell them I'm not. You're right. I'm not Persian. I'm Iranian, and you motherfuckers can't understand it. I mean, as I told you, the
I
word Persian comes from
yeah.
Perseus, and it's Greek. It's something that
Well,
our enemies they
same
were
same with the
calling
word
us.
Palestine. Same with the word
Oh,
You know where the word Palestine came
oh
from? It's
my
also from
God.
the Romans because the Romans took over, they kicked all the Jews out of Judea, and then they wanted to name the land after our biggest enemies at the time, which were the Plishtim. So they called it Syria Palestina. They named it that. And
Yeah.
then the whole Palestinian movement came, and it came from a name created by Romans. So how, like, but nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to get into
And
the
even
truth.
before it,
Nobody.
we had Palestina, but it's kind of at the time of
It's from the Philistines because the Philistines were the biggest enemies of the Jews at the time. So when
yeah,
the
yeah.
Romans, to embarrass the Jews even more after removing them from their own land, they decided to name the land after their biggest enemy at the time, which was the Philistines.
Even
That's where the
before
word came
Roman,
from.
even before Roman Empire, we had a Palestina. I've researched it a bit, and it's so interesting. It was an ethnic group. I forgot the name. That because of the wars, they came from kind of Constantinople part. Like uh,
Hmm.
Greeks in Asia. Before the ethnic cleansing and genocide against Greeks by Turkey, we had always for thousands of years Greeks, I mean, like Asian Greeks, and even they were fighting alongside Iranians in, for example, Achaemenid Empire, these kind of coalitions against Macedonians.
Hmm.
And they came after kind of wars from there, even before Romans. And they were kind of small tribe. Jews were not happy about them also, but no Arabic ethnicity. That's the point. And they came after 7th century. And when is and 7th century? 7th century, ladies and gentlemen, is the start of Islamic colonization.
And you want to hear something funny? You want how little people know about Middle Eastern history? Growing up, I when I started college, I would tell people, I'm a Persian Jew.
Mm.
And their first reaction to me was, "Oh, so does that mean you're half Muslim, half Jewish?" I said, "No, there's Jews from Iran." And they're like, "What? That's crazy." And I would have to tell people, "Do you know that Jews were in Persia for hundreds of years before the Muslim religion came to the region?" And people are shocked. They couldn't believe it. People don't even know that Zoroastrians were there first. Like I always say this hate is fueled by lack of knowledge. Our education system has failed us completely. And
Yeah.
if people actually got a good education, that there would be less hate in this world.
When they don't know that it's called Persian Gulf, what can we say? It's Persian Gulf, people. Gulf states. There is no such thing as Gulf states. It's Persian Gulf states like Qatar. Fuck Qatar. Personally, freedom of speech. Saudi Arabia, others, and also Iran. We are all states around Persian Gulf. It's historical. Just keep it original. What was the first thing that you've seen in No Festival? The very first scene that you realized something is going wrong.
Um, so the first was obviously the rockets. Um,
What? Which rockets? Tell me.
so so basically, me and my friends, we got to the festival at around 1 a.m. and
Okay.
um, And typically with festivals like these, they go from 24 hours to 3 days. So on the festival grounds, they have an area for you to build your campsite with your friends because you're not going to dance
Hmm.
for 24 hours to 3 days.
Yeah.
You need a place to rest, to relax, to laugh with your friends, to have snacks, to drink some water. So people bring tents and camping chairs and sleeping bags and blankets and sheets and whatever, and they build their little campsite with their
And it's
friends.
it's
So
1 a.m. 6th of October, or I want to get the timeline.
it's technically 7th of October already. It's like 1 a.m., 7th of October.
And when did the massacre happen? I mean, when did
It
it start?
started at 6:29. That's when the rockets started.
Fuck. Okay, go for it.
So we get there at 1. At around 3, my three friends that I came with, they wanted to go to the campsite and sleep for a few hours and wake up for the sunrise. Because with these festivals, the sunrise is the most exciting part. It's the most beautiful part, to see that beautiful sunrise while you're dancing. So we went to sleep at around 3:30, and then we woke up to the rockets. And in the beginning, a lot of people didn't they weren't nervous, they weren't scared, because in Israel, rockets is a common thing. This isn't something that people like, they don't stop everything that they're doing when they see a few rockets, because it's a very common thing to happen in Israel, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Middle
so
East
when
is
we
for profis, you know. Rocket is, just in Middle East you can say,
it
rocket is a
was just
typical
a few
thing, you know.
rockets, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so when we saw the first rockets, people thought it would just be a few and the party would continue. We didn't think that this would be we had no idea of knowing what was coming next. And a lot of people ask me, why didn't you start running right away? And I would have to explain to people that for Israelis, if they would stop everything that they were doing when a few rockets were coming towards them, then they wouldn't get anything done. And a perfect example of this was, since the war started, I've been back to Israel many times, and I've experienced rockets many times since then. And I remember there were many times where I was sitting at my desk and I was doing work for my computer, and suddenly alarms are going off, and you have to run to the bomb shelter. And you go to the bomb shelter, you wait 10 minutes to make sure another rocket isn't coming. And then you go back to your desk and you go on with your day like everything's normal, like nothing happened. So we saw the first rockets, and we thought it would just be a few, and we thought everything would be okay. But obviously the rockets continued, and then the festival security, they shut off the music. They tell everyone to start evacuating to their cars. We go to our cars. We try to leave. We're in bumper to bumper traffic because it's thousands of people all trying to leave at the same time. And about 5 or 10 minutes into driving, the festival security tells everyone to start pulling their cars over and to get out of their cars and start running. And we didn't understand why are they telling us to run from rockets? It doesn't make any sense. But we listen to them. We pull our car over, and like a few seconds after we pulled the car over, that's when we heard the first gunshots. And right away you realize it's not just rockets. You realize there's terrorists in Israel right next to you. They have guns and they're coming for you. And right away we opened our doors. We started running from the car. Everyone around us is also running. And nobody knows what direction to run in. Nobody knows where they're coming from. Nobody knows what direction is the direction of safety. And that's like when we heard the gunshots, that was the first moment where we really realized what's happening.
fuck. How did you survive?
We ran for about 4 hours on and off. And we were running in different directions. Sometimes you were running in one direction, and then you saw people running towards you, and you see them being shot at and falling, and you realize you're also running towards terrorists, and then you have to change directions. And it was a lot of changing directions and trying to find the safest place to run to for about 4 hours until a man from a nearby town, his name was Moshe Sati, um, he he drove towards all of this. He risked his own life to save other people, and he ended up finding us and taking us to his town. His town was called Patish. At the time, it was the nearest town to get to safety. And he saved our lives. He risked his own life to save us. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
Fuck. My imagination is so good, and I imagine all the scenes that you're explaining, and you know, I'm speechless. It's a fucking disaster. And the, then what happened? I mean, you were on not you personally, but most of the people, they were on drug. How they could handle it? I mean,
So it's very scary because obviously a lot of these people, like, I always tell people, I'm not embarrassed to tell people like that I've done things at parties, I've done shrooms, whatever, but yeah, I was sober at this party. Some people say that's part of what saved me because I was able to be focused.
if
Some
you
people
consider using magic mushroom something embarrassing, fuck you. Just mentioning.
exactly.
Be free. Magic mushroom is not a drug, people. With respect. Okay.
The big pharma companies of the world want us to believe that anything that's not regular pills is bad for you. But we won't even that's a whole other subject. But a lot of people because they were under the influence of drugs, it made everything more intense and more scary for them and it was harder for them to understand what direction to run to. A lot of people came out of the whole situation more traumatized because they were on drugs when everything was happening. Um, it's it's a crazy situation. Imagine going to a party and feeling safe and feeling free and feeling happy
Yeah.
and having a massacre like this happen to you at such a beautiful, perfect, like peaceful, happy event like this. It's the last thing we could have ever imagined that would have happened there. Um, but something I want to bring up is, you know, this man who saved my life, him and his son drove back and forth from their hometown of Patish, this nearby town near the festival. They drove back and forth from their town to the festival for about 8 or 10 hours that day, risking their own lives over and over again to save innocent people that they didn't even know. And they saved about 300 to 400 lives that day. And and you know, I'm sure you heard about the girl on the train, the Ukrainian girl, Irina, that got stabbed on the train in the United States. And I saw something that really like touched me. I saw like a Israeli Instagram page. They shared what happened and they shared part of the video. And a lot of Israelis were commenting, why is nobody helping her? Why is nobody doing something? Why is nobody trying to stop him?
Mm.
And somebody replied to them because America is in Israel. Because in America, they don't do what Israelis do. They don't go out of their way and risk their own lives for people they don't know. And that's so true. I think about the idea like if this attack happened at a festival in the United States, I don't think I would be alive today. Because I don't think there would be a lot of people that would risk their lives to come and risk their own lives and come to the danger zone to save us. And I feel so lucky that there were so many good people that day that came to try to save us. Um, but I really thought a lot about that video today and those comments that I saw under the video because it's really true. Especially now in a place like America, I don't feel safe on the streets, honestly, with everything that's happening. And you mentioned Charlie Kirk as well.
Yeah,
It's
really. I mean, personally, let me uh, first of all, this time, this podcast, 2 hours podcast, it belongs to you. You know, you're the queen here right now. But it's something important to mention about Charlie Kirk, and I really want also your opinion about it. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I think all of this like goes into my story. This is all a part
go
of
for
it,
it then.
you know?
Go for
It's
it.
all connected. No, but go ahead what you wanted to say about
Um,
Charlie.
I personally, I am a center left, I believe in
Hmm.
just free healthcare, free education, and minimum wage, that's all about. And this kind of stuff that they say, no, you're not a left or whatever, some people tell me, or leftism is this and that. Leftism is not just Marx, and I hate Karl Marx. Although that I'm
Hmm.
living in his country and it's a beautiful country. Shout out to all Germans. I love these people, really. And we had also Jefferson, and we had also Kennedy, JFK.
Hmm.
These are leftists. JFK, goddamn it, gave civil rights to the black people, and it was a huge thing. Although that in Iran we had it like 2,500 years ago, but okay, you know,
No, nobody talks about
no
that.
one, no one, and they don't talk that we did destroy slavery also. This kind of stuff. We were paying people, whatever. And one of the kind of general aspect of it is that
Yeah, Iran was actually one of the only places that didn't have slaves. Like if you look at Rome and Egypt, all of their huge infrastructures and all
yeah,
of their biggest beautiful buildings that we visit, like the Colosseum and the pyramids, they were all built by slaves except for Iran. But nobody
nice.
talks nobody
You know,
talks about Iranian history.
Iranian identity is strong. I love it the way that
Yes.
you defend it.
Yeah.
That's nice. And
Well, something that I always tell people, sorry to interrupt
no,
you,
no, no,
but
it's fine.
out of all the Jewish communities in the world, most people don't feel so connected to their identity because they have so many different identities
Yeah,
because there were so many pogroms and they had to move around so much. They were constantly persecuted. The Iranian Persians, the Iranian Jews, sorry, the Iranian Jews are one of the only Jewish communities that didn't have to move around a lot because they lived in peace for so long. When when Jews were kicked out of Judea and they were taken as slaves, and King Cyrus freed them and said, "You can go back to Judea," a lot of Jews chose to stay instead of going back. And my
yeah.
family is part of that. My family was in Iran for thousands of years. From the first exile of Judea, we stayed there because we were so happy there because we lived peacefully there.
Your
And
ancestors,
yeah,
your ancestors in Babylon, they saw Cyrus that he did liberate the Jewish people, and they said, "This man is so cool. Probably his country is also
we want to
cooler.
stay
Fuck
with him.
Israel. Let's go
Yeah.
to Iran. I want to be Iranian."
No, they stayed in Iran. They were in Iran and he freed them and he said you guys can go back and he was like, "Actually, we're happy to live under you because it's pretty great. You're a great guy." And it's really crazy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Iranian Jews are some of the proudest Jews out of all the Jews that were living in exile all over the world. I think we're some of the proudest because we were there for such a long amount of time.
And we have I think 400,000 Iranian Jews in Israel right now.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. And actually, Iran, even though they're not living in good conditions right now, Iran has the biggest Jewish community in the Middle East outside of Israel. Because
Like
everywhere
10,000
else
people, I think. Yeah.
around there. In Iraq, there's maybe one Jew left or maybe none. In Syria, there's none. In Egypt, like all the Jews in all the Middle East, Morocco, they all had to leave. There's almost zero in any
Yeah.
other place in the Middle East. And Iran is the only place where they still have thousands. Obviously, they're
They're
being
just for
watched
propaganda. I
and
mean, yeah. And
yeah,
it
they're
it
being
shows
forced to make propaganda,
it
actually. Yeah,
shows
it's
how
crazy.
people, I mean, most of the people that don't know, the Israelis and sorry, the Jews that they've got removed from their own country, Iran, um, they were removed bureaucratically, not by force of the people. I mean, that's the point. They couldn't convince people that we have to remove them, even that they were majority Muslims in those days.
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah,
beauty. It was a kind of radical Shia Muslim Islamic bureaucracy that they've removed it with labels. You're working with Zionists, whatever. They would get you. They would put you in jail or custody for several days. They would, try to pinch you, and like that they removed the Jewish community, and they
yeah,
kept 10,000s of them for propaganda. And we have uh, 13 synagogues in Isfahan.
yeah.
Isfahani people in Iran, they are still kind of, when you're talking about the finance, all Iranians, they think about Isfahanis, and that's why you can realize why Jewish people were there. You know, when
Yeah,
you talk about
yeah,
money, go for Isfahan, and you can see the culture, you can see the effect. Because I've heard one time that sometimes Jews are not good, they don't get along with this joke about money. It's freedom of speech. Come on, the intention is important. When you use it to
yeah.
crush their identity is different when you just want to make a laugh and just make
Yeah.
connections, because I really want to ensure my zero interest. I mean, that's something good, and uh, Jewish people are so expert in that. And why not? Let us laugh to it. Why not? And that's interesting, really. I mean, you still see the kind of roots of the Jewish people in Isfahan, for example. In Iran, we had a rabbi. I didn't know that. Sorry, not in Iran, in Shiraz, in my city.
Hmm.
We had a rabbi that they got him after 12 days war. And that's the magnificent part about Iran and all its ethnic groups. If you got born in Iran, you are owner. That's important. You know, do you have anything to
That,
mention, or
yeah,
go for it?
that's what a lot of people don't realize about Iranians is that just because the IRGC tries to show the rest of the world that Iran hates Jews, or that they don't have a good relationship, they weren't able to brainwash the Iranian citizens. Like that's the difference between like Iran and like the rest of the Middle East, that in the rest of the Middle East they really did brainwash their people to hate Jews, to think that the Jews are the enemies. But Iranians don't feel that way. And that's something that I try to show the world, is that we're actually united, and we stand together, and we love each other, and we have such a deep, beautiful history with each other.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
important to
every
show that to
Iranian,
the world.
again.
I said it's important to show that to the rest of the world,
Yeah,
to teach people
yeah,
that.
yeah. This unity is important. I mean, it's historical, and
Yeah.
it's what that our ancestors, mothers, and fathers did found this country on it. They found this country on civil rights. And most of the people, they say Iran was the first nationality ever. That's bullshit. We had the first civil rights in
Yeah.
Iran, and that's something big and great about um, us and our people. And their people, you can see the connection. I always find it fascinating, the first or second generations, or the girls and boys that they get born in other countries, but their parents are Iranian, their roots are Iranian, even their grandparents. This is always magnificent how they still feel a really bold, strong connection with Iran. And that's fascinating. How's it
You
for
you
you?
know what is unfortunate though? I have seen some some Muslim Iranians that were born and raised in the United States. I saw them like kind of get a little bit brainwashed from Western ideologies.
Hmm.
So, for example, I myself had a podcast for about 6 years called Persian Girl Podcast, and it was me and my
Nice.
co-host. Yeah, me and my co-host would talk about what it's like to grow up in the Iranian communities in the United States. She grew up in LA and I grew up in New York.
Mm.
And when the war after October 7th, we spoke a little bit about what I went through and what happened, and we got a lot of hate comments from a lot of our followers who followed us for years. And suddenly they told us, um, as Iranians, we don't associate with you. You've never even been to Iran. You're not real. You're not really Iranians. You can't represent us. And we messaged them back and we told them the reason why we've never been to Iran is because of the Islamic Revolution, because our families had to flee in fear of being persecuted. If it wasn't for the Islamic Revolution, I would have been born in Iran. And for someone to tell me that they don't claim me as Iranian, that they don't consider me one of their people because my family had to flee, was
Yeah.
so upsetting. And I saw that it's not a big number of Iranians that act like that and talk like that. I think it's the
You
ones that
know
have
that
been brainwashed.
they are mostly children of IRGC leaders. Aghazadeh, we
Yeah,
say. You
yeah,
know that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
their project. For the people that they don't know, for decades, IRGC leaders did send their children to Europe and America to spread this kind of
Yeah.
effed up narrative of radical Islam. So, you're the owner, as I said, that's the point. They can't attack this identity. It's strong, it's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I did a DNA test just to I made like a video about it to make people understand, that Jews we're not white colonialists like everyone thinks that we are. And so I did a DNA test to show people what I am and who I am. I got 97% Iranian. So that's a
If
very high
I,
percentage.
what was the 3%? The rest?
Um, 1% Ashkenazi Jew, and like Levant area, because like that's where like Jews originated from. But yeah, my family was really in Iran for thousands of years. From the first time Jews were exiled from Judea, we ended up in Iran.
Which
And
countries? Which countries did you have in your test?
which part? My father. Well, I know my father is Kashi, and my mother's parents. I forget honestly what cities that they were from. They left Iran a long time ago. They left Iran in 1950
Okay.
and moved to Israel. But if you want, I can look at the test and show
No, it's
you
fine.
exactly.
I mean, what was the kind of the country in your DNA test that you didn't expect to see?
Honestly, I think everything that was there, I fully expected. And like I was so proud. I was like I didn't expect the Iranian part to be such a high percentage. I didn't expect to get like it was like 97%. It was very high, but I was
After
very
after
proud of it.
after seeing the DNA test, you were like, that's what I want,
Yes. Yes, nobody can tell me that I'm not Iranian enough because I haven't been to Iran. I haven't been to Iran because it wasn't safe for Jews to go back. It
Yeah.
wasn't safe for me to visit, and especially now that I go online and I speak out against the IRGC. I can't go back until there's another revolution. But I'm proud to say that my family was there. My family has such a deep history there. There's even a Jewish holiday about Iranian Jews. It's Purim. It's about Queen Esther.
Mhm.
Like we have such a deep history there, and
Some
it's such
radical lefts
a
one time, I've heard from a radical left, he said that in Purim, Jews, they drink wine because as a blood of Iranians. What's about that?
no. So the reason why we're supposed to drink wine is you're supposed to get so drunk that you can't tell the difference between good and evil.
What a
Yeah.
nice ceremony. Oh my God. Okay.
It's considered a good deed. It's considered a mitzvah to get drunk on Purim.
I
Yeah.
found my religion,
It's a very
people.
fun holiday.
Maybe I don't stay atheist anymore. A religion
Yeah,
that
I
it
mean,
allows you to be drunk. I was always under the oppression of Islam. Finally,
yeah,
shit.
it's a very happy religion. We love to get drunk. Yeah. Come
Oh
join
my
us.
God. So about the Purim. So it's irrelevant with the blood of Iranians or this kind of propaganda.
That's that's what we call a blood libel. A blood libel is a fake story that people
Mm.
made up to spread more hate and incite more violence against Jews, and that's just one of many of them. Oh, sorry, the light.
No, it's totally fine.
But but
So let's,
that's just
yeah,
yeah, that's just one of many. There's so many stories like that. On Passover we make matzah. Do you know what matzah is?
no.
Basically, it looks like a cracker, and it's the story of Passover when we were slaves in Egypt and we left Egypt, and people made up a blood libel about Jews that we used the blood of Christian children to make the matzah that we make. People create crazy stories about the Jewish people just to create more hate and more violence. It's been like this throughout history. The the lies and the propaganda that we see today against the Jews is nothing new. We've seen it
Mm.
in every generation.
And that's why I think we shouldn't care more. People will go back to Charlie Kirk, but it's interesting. But that's the point. I think nowadays, um, I think we shouldn't care that much about anti-Semitism anymore. Because we have to it's my idea, that we have to consider it as, I don't know, we have to work against it, but we have to consider it as racism or whatever, that it exists always. But anti-Zionism and the movement that they could legitimize being anti-Zionist, it's something that we must not tolerate. Because when you're talking about anti-Zionism, you're talking about elimination of a whole nation, citizens, and their rights. It's not just racism.
So that's the issue. The issue is that as soon as Zionism became a word, it gave people a way to be anti-Semitic, but put it under a new label so that they can pretend that they're not
Yeah,
anti-Semitic.
yeah, yeah,
Like people are just like hiding under the mask of anti-Zionism and pretending like it's not anti-Semitic. To be anti-Zionist is to be anti-Semitic. To think that the Jews don't have the right to a land, to their homeland that they're originated from is anti-Semitic. But people just want to pretend like they're not anti-Semitic, so they started using the word anti-Zionist.
we
And
have to
that's the
really
major
invent
issue.
we have to really invent a word for the Jews that they are in. Although that Israel is also your homeland, and I thank my I really I'm grateful to other Jews and Israelis that they did give a homeland to Iranian Jews, but and I think after a free Iran, some of them they wouldn't they will go for getting their Iranian passport, but maybe they will stay in Israel. But we need a kind of Zionist kind of argument topic or whatever that we have to recognize the rights of Iranian Jews to back to their homeland, because I feel like
So
we
there's a big
can't.
problem with that because, you know, a lot of the people that were part of the IRGC, when
Mhm.
Iranian Jews had to leave Iran, they had to leave behind their lands, their homes, their businesses, and then people that were part of the IRGC took it for themselves. So it's a big topic of discussion that, you know, I think Iranians now they want to talk about the future without the IRGC. We talk about it in the sense that it's not just a dream anymore. It's going to happen soon. So what do we do when it happens? What do we do with all the Jews that had their homes taken and their homes and their businesses taken away from them? Is it possible to give it back to them? Do they want to come back? These are all, I think, topics of discussion that a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, yeah,
Or not even just the Jews, the Baha'i, the Zoroastrians,
yeah.
and anyone who left. What do you do? How do you decide who gets their home back or so on and so
We
forth?
have even
It's
Zoroastrians in India. They're called Parsi Indians. I mean,
yeah,
they've got
yeah.
removed. They left after Sassanid Empire. You know, they were so wiser than even Jewish people. They left right after Islam came. You know, they say fuck it.
But it's very interesting because their language today, the Parsim, is like half Persian, half like Hindu. It's like a combination of both. It's not,
the
but yeah, they
influence the influence of Persian language. You know that the dominant language, at least bureaucratic language, in Center Asia and Middle East was Persian. Even in India, before imperialism, it's because of UK. They fucked it up. India and their bureaucratic language was Persian, Gurkhanian, before UK. And
hmm
Pakistan even did order Persian books when they wanted to, build their country. And with the intervention of UK, they
hmm
didn't go for Persian language. And you still see this kind of what's it called, big connection between Persian language and their words. And for example, in Pakistan, they have still Khuda Hafiz, exact way that we
hmm
say in Iran.
Yeah.
And
And you know what's crazy? That's why I get so annoyed when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, isn't Persian, isn't Farsi very close to Arabic?" And I always tell people, no. Out of all the during the Arab conquests, when they took over Morocco and Iraq and Syria and Egypt, all these places had their own language. And the Arab conquest forced them to change their
yeah,
language to Arabic.
yeah,
Iran was the only place that said no. When the Arab conquest happened, yes, they took over, they forced a lot of people to convert, but they didn't let them change their language.
2 points.
We're one of the only places that kept our language.
First of all, it's not Arab conquest. I think, in my opinion, I prefer to say Islamic colonization. Arab
Okay,
people are,
fair.
and they had a really beautiful culture. I mean, my opinion,
Yeah.
and I'm against political correctness. And also, we
No,
are not.
but it's fair. It's fair. It's
We
fair
are not the
way
only
to
one.
label it.
We are
Yeah.
not the only one. Iranians and
But
Spanish people.
we're one of the only ones.
Spanish people and Iranians. The
Okay, yeah.
east side of Islamic Empire, Islamic colonized empire, and the west side of it. These two sides, we kept our language and our
No,
identity.
I always appreciate to be corrected because I always want to make sure that I'm correct. So thank you.
No, I'm pretty sure your knowledge is more than me, but don't let's
No,
not
no.
do the Persian tarof, opening call off of each other. Please, no, you know more than me. No, no, you know more than me. Please, please.
You know, one time I saw a video, it was like a cartoon of two Persians get to a stop sign, like two stop signs, and they both stop. And
Oh.
one guy goes, "No, you go first, you go first." And then it goes from morning until night, and both of them are still there. They're like, "No, no, you, no, you, no."
That's true. That's true. As an Iranian, you know that when for example, relatives, Shabbat. In Shabbat, for example, your relatives are coming, and when they want to say goodbye, first of all, around the
Oh
table,
my
one
God.
time they say goodbye. In front of the door, they say goodbye another time, and then your
For
father
an
starts,
hour.
yeah, Mr. Sanandaji. By the way, did you hear about that? It's so. Did you hear about that story?
Persians are the opposite. Iranians are the opposite of Irish. You know, the Irish goodbye is to leave without saying goodbye. So we're the opposite. We
Yeah,
leave and we
because they
say
are
goodbye
always
for two
drunk,
hours.
whiskey effect.
But it's funny because they say a language shows a lot about a nation's culture.
Mm.
So if you look at the Persian language, number one, there's no word for ta'aruf in a different language.
Yeah.
It's strictly part of Persian culture to ta'aruf. And the first time I realized that ta'aruf wasn't part of other cultures was the first time I went to Shabbat dinner at my friend's house, who's a Ashkenazi Jew.
Mm.
She's Eastern European, okay? And I sat down at the table with them and they offered me a plate to eat food. And I said, no, no, it's okay. And they didn't offer again. And then I was too embarrassed.
To ask again.
It was like it was aberu. I wasn't gonna ask again for a plate. I was too embarrassed. So I just sat there and I was starving. And I just sat there the entire meal
Oh.
starving, watching other people eat, and then I realized that you don't ta'aruf in a non-Persian house because
Every
other people don't
Iranian
know what ta'aruf is.
every Iranian child got destroyed with this tarof at least one time.
Yeah,
It's our childhood trauma that I was
it is.
thirsty as fuck and they gave me water. No, it's fine. I don't want water. No, I want it. Give it. Oh shit. And it's lost. You can't have it anymore. That's one of my childhood traumas, and we all have it. That's something, and I hate tarof. Really, it's one of the
Yeah.
cultures that we have to change. This
But
tarof.
you
Oh
you
my
have
god.
to ta'aruf. If you go to someone's house and you don't ta'aruf, they think you're rude. You can't not
Yeah,
ta'aruf.
that's why we have new generations, Natalie. Yeah, we have to change. We have to
But you know
bring
what's
new stuff.
funny? As a Iranian that grew up in America, I didn't realize that the Iranians in Iran are not the same, didn't grow up with the same childhood as me because the Iranian Jews that came to America, they kept the same like ideas like Ta'aruf and like all these things and they taught it to us. So
Mm.
we like grew up in a Iranian culture from the 70s. And then the Iranians in Iran, you guys grew up in a more modern Iran than us. I grew up in the 70s of Iran. And then
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you guys that actually grew up in Iran grew up in a more modern Iran than I did.
And
And I
our
didn't realize that until I started to meet Iranians that grew up in Iran, like in
And our
my
Z
generation.
generation, believe me, Natalie, our Z generation. I am Z generation. I've got born in 2000. I'm kind of, what's it called? Grandpa of Z generation. But
Yeah.
what I can say, even 16, 17 years old Iranians, I'm really fascinated by not their knowledge. They are 17, they don't know shit about the world, but their curiosity,
Yeah.
the level of enthusiasm. Did I spell it correctly?
Yeah,
Yeah,
enthusiasm. Yeah.
enthusiasm. It's something that it makes a huge difference between Z generations in Iran and other European countries and America, and you know how fucked up they are. Oh, my feelings, oh my God, Palestinians are getting killed. And they can't see the logic that it's about a brutal ideology that they use people because it's justified with their holy Quran for the
Yeah.
sake of Allah and Islam, Islamic Khalifa. You can lie, taqiyya, you can kill, jihad, and what was the point? Also, you can, um, what's it called? Ah, fuck it, I forgot the last point, but anyway. Um, and that's the difference between Z generations of Iranian and other parts of the world because you know we've seen this brutality. We can recognize it in a second, and
Yeah.
that's why I think we are way ahead, like
Yeah.
ahead of Z generation and Z generation of Israelis. I think they are the same because they
No,
deal with this
definitely.
stuff.
The Israelis, if you compare an 18-year-old Israeli or a 19-year-old Israeli that's in the army to 19-year-old American, they're way ahead because Americans are so sheltered and they don't have to go through all this bullshit of running into bomb shelters from the age of 3 years old, you know? So 1,000%, they're way ahead. Um, but it's actually very interesting. I've seen a pattern of a lot of Iranians who have messaged me, who like they find me through my videos and my speeches, and they've messaged me and they told me that they realized that their family was forced into forced conversions to be Muslim,
Yeah.
and they're looking at their family history and they're realizing that they were either Baha'i or Zoroastrian or Jewish, and they want to go back to what their family used to be, and they suddenly they care to go back to what they were before they were forced into this. And it's a very interesting phenomenon to see, like amongst the younger
Yeah.
Iranians.
And as an atheist, I'm so proud. I was finding out that it was an unofficial research. In Iran, we have around about 20%, 30% atheists, not non-believers or not religious people. And I think, I don't know, I have doubts that if Islam is Muslims, they are still a majority of in Iran. My mom is a Muslim. I love my mom. Your mom as a boy, your mom is the first woman that you will fall in love with.
Yeah,
And
especially with Iranians.
especially, yeah, yeah, especially if you're an Iranian boy. I mean, we call Iran motherland. I mean,
Yeah.
the utopia of this progressive, I said it also in the last episode with Ali, is also Iranian Australian. And he's in Australia since he was one.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and really the utopia of these radical leftists must be Iran. From the beginning, it was diverse, all ethnic groups, civil rights, no dominant colonizer ethnic group,
Hmm.
and other stuff. It's their utopia, but ignorance. And about Charlie Kirk, I've said about first of all leftism, and Jefferson Kennedy, they are also lefts, the leftists, and free healthcare, free education, the minimum wage. These are the left stuff, pragmatic stuff. They can work. And for example, one of the good examples always for me is that Kennedy, JFK, uh, did give a tax cut to billionaires, although that he was a leftist, and he was really a leftist and center left. And that's the point. That's what I love about him. He was a pragmatic guy. And what I'm trying to say is that he was a legend. He brought a new class of being a politician. That was
Hmm.
Kennedy's effect. And one time I heard they say in America we have just one royal family, and it's Kennedy. You know,
Hmm.
and you see the contribution of this family, and they were always and they are still a symbol of left. First of all, Democrats, they don't refer to it anymore. It's so interesting. They don't care about Kennedy. Why? Because they're kissing Karl Marx's ass, and it's their god. Uh, and about Islam, that's also connected with Islam. Islam will come to your land, Islamic colonization, not Muslims. I
Hmm.
mean, minority radical Muslims. First of
Yeah.
all, they try to radicalize your left.
Hmm.
First of all, they try to radicalize the whole spectrum of left. If they can, that the way that they did it in Iran, they would try to give them gun,
Hmm.
mujahideen, others, And PLO gave guns to them to destabilize the whole region and our country. But what I'm saying is that left had this kind of symbol, this power, in presidential debates, they could use that. This is a brand, this is a huge thing. Now a Kennedy got born for right wingers. Charlie Kirk. Absolutely different story. Absolutely he was not president. But he was, and I'm 100% against all of his religious belief people. I didn't follow Charlie Kirk. I was hearing his stuff sometimes. I didn't follow his stuff. I was always hearing just his words about Israel. It was interesting. And that was the time that I was spending on his contents. That was all. But he was, as a leftist, still. We have to be realistic and recognize he is, and unfortunately, he was a
Hmm.
major public figure for freedom of speech, which is
Yeah.
oppressed by Islamic colonization and also other stuff, leftists and their radical leftists and others. But now he's that symbol, and believe me, Republicans will win. The next president will be J.D. Vance, and the vice president will be Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio is a fucking genius. I love him. The guy is, oh my god. Marco Rubio in Trump cabinet is, I admire him. He's so cool, he has this kind of spirit that I will do the job, and Trump gives him always credit. And my
I
point
actually
is,
I met with him. He was one of
shit.
the
Oh my god.
in the beginning of the war. I This was when Biden was president.
Mhm.
I went to DC. It was like I think the second week of the war, and I went to speak to different politicians and tell them my story, and I got to meet with him. But listen, I always say, even in regards to Charlie Kirk, a lot of people want to argue like, oh, what, you agreed with everything he said? What about abortion rights? What about this? What about that? There's no human on this earth that I agree with everything that they say. That's a ridiculous statement. Of course, I don't agree with everything someone says, but I think his ability to have a debate with people in a fair way and to have respect for the person that he's debating
Yeah.
was something that was beautiful.
And he was advocating for one of the biggest fundamental rights of any democratic country and the biggest democracy in the world, freedom of speech. Because I've realized if we Iranians, because of imperialism, we have traumas, but a society that doesn't go for its pains, and they don't move on, they can't improve themselves. So I think we have to get rid of, which I think we've got rid of, this anti-imperialist mindset. And
Hmm.
we have to recognize um, democracy is the ultimate goal. And if we don't, that's something that I think Israelis realize. If we don't protect the major democracies in the world, which is in this case America, the biggest one, which kind of democracy are we gonna implement in our country? So whether we like it or not, democracies have to work together. Why? Because if we don't, totalitarian states, they will. And about Charlie Kirk, that's the point. Now he is the symbol of right wingers.
Hmm.
Leftists are losing everything. And I'm so alone, Natalie. Really, I'm so alone. And I don't want to be right wingers. I will never be a right winger because I know where I come from. I know what's my identity. I know what I'm seeking in my life, and about what in any shape or form I want to make a change. So I know my political identity. But what's happening that patriotism is not left anymore. Working for your nationality and your country, believing in your borders is not left anymore. That's a bunch of, we are facing bunch of radical, crazy people. And I don't know in what would be the investigation or whatever, but clearly the biggest motivation is that they are spreading this hate. They are partying for his death. Oh my god, it's sick. It's sick. He has two children. He has two children,
It's
a
crazy.
wife. He has a
The
mother.
the things I've seen people comment online,
What the fuck?
I I tweeted about this today. I said that as soon as we started kind of like I don't want to say like fantasizing, but almost like worshiping terrorists that that kill people based on an ideology, it became like a trickle down system into our society that people started to think it was okay to kill others based on an ideology. And we saw it with Luigi. We saw it with the this young couple that was working for the Israeli embassy being shot in DC. We keep seeing it over and over again that people think it's okay to end somebody else's life because they think differently than you. And it's scary. We've
That
become
shows
so desensitized to the idea of death.
that shows they didn't get the concept of democracy, and because they've inherited democracy. You know, I
Because
had
they
to
didn't work
learn.
for it. Yeah.
I I'm fighting for the democracy in my country. I'm connected to the blood of Jina Mahsa Amini. That blood is boiling. We are fighting for that. Islamic Shariat law didn't teach me shit. You know, I had to learn. I had to learn democracy. I didn't inherit democracy, and I think West and the East Europeans they understand it also because their leaders are the ones right now that they were fighting against communism. But these people,
Hmm.
they've inherited democracy. They don't have a clue what democracy is. Democracy is something that you have to protect, and you can see that how they are demonizing all the founding fathers of America, Jefferson, bunch of
But
racists.
you know what I don't understand is these, especially these women, these girls that I see that live in democratic countries that are wearing the keffiyeh and dancing around and saying they're pro Hamas. Do you think if Hamas takes over your country that you're going to be able to wear this crop top and wear whatever you want and speak in public and have any job that you want? Do you see what the women in Afghanistan are going through? You think that you're not going to go through that also? I I think that people don't understand there's a disconnect between what they're supporting and
Yeah,
what the people that they're supporting would do to them.
yeah, yeah.
Do you not understand what they would do to you? Do you not understand that they would take away all your rights?
All your rights. Let me be clear to any one of you that you're supporting Hamas or Palestinian children. You don't give a fuck first of all about Palestinian children. If you care about Palestinian children, you were on the streets in 2006. The same way that Hamas did it to Islam did it to me with Islamic regime. They did
Hmm.
force us to read Quran. You know all these oppressions. You were not there when they were teaching young children with military training, and they will rape you anytime, any Islamic state, the very first thing, or these Hamas terrorists or whoever, the very first thing that they will do to you is that they rape you. And as a Nova Festival survivor, you've seen that.
Hmm. Yeah. I actually have a question for you. I know
Yeah,
that most of the questions are meant for me.
no,
But
go for
when
it.
did you feel like you started to like do you feel like you hear me?
Yeah, what happened?
My AirPods died. I think I need to talk through my phone now.
Put it in front of you.
Oh.
We can cut it, no worries. I mean, it's fine.
Oh, wait, no, actually, I can hear. Can you hear me clearly? Is everything okay?
No, no.
Oh, is the sound not good?
Yeah. If you can't hold it also. Can you put it in front of you?
Can you hear me? Is that
Yeah,
better?
like that I can.
Yeah.
But it's a bit hard for you.
No, it's okay. I can hold it like this as long as it's fine for you.
No, it's fine. It's okay. Let's go for
Okay.
it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I charged
it's
them and
totally,
they didn't charge.
it's totally
So
fine.
I wanted to wonder, like I wanted to ask, where did your questioning start? Like at what age did you start to realize, because you said you were forced to learn the Quran.
Mhm.
When did you start to question? When did you start to think differently? Like what was a changing point for you in your life?
It was natural kind of. It was at the age of 16. I've started to go for like yellow psychological stuff, like motivational stuff, you can do it, whatever, this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And at the age of 17, I was like non-believer. I didn't believe in Islam anymore. Then I went for, we have an echo, right? One, two? No, this one. At the age of 17, I went for a book called Four Effects from Florence Skolshin. And for 1 week, I was engaged with the, really spiritual week, And after that, I was only believing in God. And after
Mm-hmm.
that week, I said, oh, fuck it all, I became atheist from the age of 17, 18, and now 18, and now I'm 25 and I'm still atheist. But you know that the point is that it did start from. I mean, it happens naturally in Iran because you see the brutality, you see the results of these ideologies. So you will absolutely even. And the first question you're done when you go for the first question. You will go for
Yeah.
the second, third, and the first question is that why? I mean, why the result is so fucked up when they are talking about a religion of peace, and you see firsthand the brutality of this ideology, and the small minority that they rape Iranians in prisons. They rape even men. That's something that people don't want to consider. They rape even men in prisons,
Mm-hmm.
and they uh, torture them, and you can't believe how innovative is the secret service of Islamic regime in terms of torture, imprisoning, and oppressing you. And the Islamic regime didn't spend even a second, a minute for improving the life of the citizens. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
about citizens. They, in their opinion, is kind of like that. We have bunch of sheeps, and Islam is our goal. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. And the oppression that you see, for example, on Kurds, Baluchis, and other minorities, it's not because of their ethnicity. It's because they are another kind of religious minorities, and also other stuff. That maybe, I don't know, Kurds, they will not fit the narrative of a kind of Islamic defined in the Islamic Republic, Iran, that they want to always sell to the world. So yeah, that's basically the point that's like the turning point for me.
Yeah, I guess other Iranians I've spoke to who grew up there but then left, they also said for them it was kind of this like gradual, natural thing that just happened. It's just after years of like living under this oppression, you learn to realize that this isn't right and that it's
Yeah,
not that they don't care about me. So why would I be a
yeah,
part of this? Why would I take interest in this? So yeah, I think that's like the common response that I've heard from
Which
most people.
which state in America are you from?
New York.
New York. Shit, I
Yeah.
love I love New Yorker accent and their phrases. It's so interesting about New York. You can tell me, correct me if I'm wrong about it, but you know, I always from the movies, I always get along so easy with New York accent and their phrases. Why? Because I feel like it's a kind of mixed with Italian type,
Yeah.
Italians,
Yeah.
and their phrases. Although that it's for the first time that I'm hearing it, but I can understand it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
New York, the way that they talk, natural business woman and men,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. And oh my God, Zoran Mohammadani, actually.
Oh my God.
What do
Yeah.
you think about that? Did you move to Florida or you're still waiting?
No, I'm still in New York. I don't know. That's the question everyone asks me recently is how I feel and what I think is gonna happen.
Hmm.
I really don't know. I hope he doesn't win. Most people think that he's going to win though. Most
Believe
people
me,
think that we don't have a
believe me,
chance.
even right wingers, they are trying to let him win.
I
We
know.
need an
And it
example once a while, and the sacrifice is your city. I'm really sorry about it. Your
yeah.
history is combined with evacuation. I'm really sorry. After woman life freedom and the free Iran, I personally will ensure your rights, your homeland, your city. Please come to Shiraz. We need a beautiful, strong woman like you to be in Shiraz. And I ensure that that it's the last time. New York is the last evacuation that you will go through. Sorry about that. It's so
I
fucked
my
up.
people are tired. We're tired of evacuating.
At least, but
But it's true. It's
thank God, at least Israel is there.
That's the thing though. That's the thing though about Iranian Jews. It's not true. We didn't have to escape persecution so many times. It was once from Judea and then we stayed in Iran. We were very happy.
Yeah.
But once we get rid of the regime, that's really my dream is to visit Iran. It's
Oh my
it's my biggest dream.
God. And one question, Natalie. Um, is it the word Yahudi is a kind of insult to Jews? Because Arab they use that.
No. So people try to make it into an insult. It literally just means Jew in Farsi. Like
But that's the
when
point, because we have the word Kalimi also.
so so when we talk about Jews, like when Iranian Jews say like is this person Jewish? We say Yahudi has like it's not supposed to be a derogatory term. They try to make it into one. The same way with Zionists. How other people try to
Yeah.
turn Zionists into a bad word. It's not a bad word.
But do you know, are you aware about the word Kalimi?
I've heard of the word Kalimi, yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of more kind of old word, and it's always my question. And I think it's the Persian word that we were using for our Jewish communities. We were calling
Yeah.
them Kalimi, Kalimi. Yeah, Kalimi. And a person called Dawood, I mean, in random chat, Omi TV, we were talking, and he saw the flag. He said, "Why are you?" He was religious. I mean, he was so cool, David or Dawood. He said, "Why
Dawood.
are you changing the color of the flag? What is that?" And he said that some people, Europeans, the stupid young generations, they call me Yahud. And then I realized maybe Yahud is a kind of insult. So it's just something that they want to push it to be an
Yeah, they just want to
insult.
push it as an insult. Yeah.
But it's not considered by Jewish people that Yahudi is insult.
No,
Interesting.
no.
Interesting.
People just want to turn it into an insult.
Wh-
But
What do you think about this Charlie Kirk incident in the sense that I explained about left and right? What do you feel?
like how do I feel in regards to where I stand in regards to left or right
For
or
example, the stuff that I've said about Kennedy, now he's the symbol of right wingers, and there is no spectrum in left anymore. I don't see any representation, in between
There's
politicians.
something that a lot of people say, and I feel like you would agree with this, that the left and right have really become like a pendulum in regards to the
Yeah,
fact that the far left is the far right. Like they're both crazy extremists.
yeah.
And what's hard for me and most of my friends is most of us wouldn't consider ourselves conservative at all in any regard. We would consider ourselves, I think most of us would say that we're like moderate, but I would say that in regards to like our rights, I think we would all say that we're more liberal. Like we all believe in the right to abortion, and but we can't call ourselves liberal because we're nowhere near what the Liberal Party represents today.
No, we have
So
to be, I
it
think, open about it. We are center left, pragmatic
yeah,
center left. That's all.
I and but it's so hard because everyone takes things in a sense that if you say that you're pro a specific person, everyone's first
Yeah.
response is, "Oh, so you agree with everything this person says?" And I just think that's crazy to assume that anyone agrees with everything anyone says. It's ridiculous.
And
And
it
so that
shows that they didn't get the concept of democracy.
yeah.
You know, and
But it's unfortunate because what you were saying about why Iranians are are pro-democracy and why they're
Mhm.
thirsty for it is because they had to work for it because it was taken away from them. And if you look at too many Americans today, they're so entitled to their rights that they're willing to fight for a group of people who will have their rights taken away in a second. And they don't understand that. They don't see that. And I'm worried that they're only going to see it when it's too late.
No, you have guns. No, really. I mean, no. The founding fathers of America knew something. You know, they gave guns for fighting against tyranny, and it's my hope. You know, because they can't go for Islamic revolution in America. You want to go for Islamic revolution in America? Okay, deal with the biggest producer of guns in the whole universe, and all people are armed like till their teeth. You know.
Yeah, but they brainwashed a lot of Americans. And then the Americans that they brainwashed also have guns. And look at what they're doing. Like
Oh yeah.
it goes both ways.
And you can see after that fucking conference in America that they were gathering around, you know, that member of congresswoman said, "Look at this crowd, motherfucker. We ain't going anywhere." You know, that
Hmm.
propali and their literatures. The way that they were talking, it's the time to escalate. We have to destroy the idea of America, and that's a state of a state of emergency. If
Yeah.
the European, I mean, if Americans, I would like to specifically talk about America. If Americans they don't find any solution or they don't do anything to it, the future, although that Patrick Bet David always says, you know, he's also Iranian, PVD podcast. He says, future is bright. No, I mean, how? I mean, it's so easy. Bunch of new laws, bunch of Sharia law stuff, and it's done, people. They are already trying to do it in Texas. Oh my God. They went for the hardest state. I mean, I don't know how they were thinking to themselves because they know, you know, the base of Christian, Christian, what's it called? Judeo-Christian values in
Hmm.
America is Texas. Although that we have absolutely racism in Texas, I don't want to ignore that. But that's, I think, why they are going after it. These radical Muslims.
I honestly like you said, like in regards to me having to flee New York, I think they've already taken over New York. The
Oh
idea
fuck.
of them taking over Texas, I don't think that it's possible that they're gonna succeed there. But
Yeah, well, it's scary that they are trying so hard. But yeah, I think they will find a solution because Zoran Mohammadani actually, he will win. He will ruin one of the greatest cities in human history, and I think we have to see an example, that this Marxism doesn't work. If you want to be a leftist, the democratic, recognized leftism, legit leftism is American way. Kennedy, Jefferson, these people that they were, at the end of the day, they were thinking about how I can improve the life of citizens. That's the important part. And I'm so sorry about New York. Really, I think personally, it's not a prediction. I think it's a trend that it's happening. New York will be lost. And you have a big
Yeah.
Jewish community in New York, like 400, 500,000 people.
We have the biggest Jewish community in the world outside of Israel. That's
Oh,
crazy. Where are they all gonna go? I don't know.
Florida,
Israel. Florida.
Florida, believe me.
Florida is actually the safest place to be a Jew in the United States right now. 100%.
Shit.
I
And,
I don't feel safe most of the time in the United
okay,
States. I feel pretty safe in Florida. I agree.
Florida. And the most safest city in whole America for Iranians is Los Angeles, isn't it?
Yes. For Terrangeles.
Angeles, yeah, really.
Yes, yes.
I mean, if you want to go for Iranian imperialism, which it does, historically, it's not a fact, it's a lie. Maybe you can go for Los Angeles. We've conquered that city. With, I mean, not with sword, with our money,
With food.
businesswoman, businessman, with food also. Oh my God!
But
And
it's funny because the Iranian community in New York is just as big as the Iranian community in LA, but only LA is well known for being Iranian amongst the rest of the world. Like right now I'm here in Australia and I talk to people and I tell them, I'm Iranian, and they're like, "Oh, are you from LA?" And I'm like, "No, I'm from New York. Why does nobody know that Iranians are also in New York? We have a huge community, just as big as LA, but only LA is well known for some reason."
mm, I mean, it's crazy. Especially, I don't know. You've been into Europe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The,
So
the,
Germany, France, the UK, Amsterdam.
and you see what's happening in Europe because I live in Europe, and I've already lost the country called Iran, and I try to take it back, but the I love German people. Germany gave me this stuff that I couldn't have in my own country. The way that you're so grateful to Israel, the same way it's for me towards Germans and Germany.
Hmm.
And the it's one of the beauties of this country that how they could accept the wrong things that they've done to the Jewish people. And nowadays, I claim one of the highest morality level in any society in the world you can find in Germany between Germans. Honest, they say they are direct or rude. No, they are honest and direct. They are helpful. I am a refugee, political refugee. They gave me the democracy. They gave me, resources to rebuild my life. And I feel so sad for it because what are they doing? The tribalism way of voting with Muslims. It's the biggest threat to democracy because you have a vote is a kind of something about your individualism. It's your
Hmm.
vote, but the way that they are voting and the radicalized left and their coalition, same way like Iran. We've seen this shit that they are making coalitions with Islamists and radical Muslims or Islamists that they would be in jail in even Middle East. They are operating in Europe. How do you see that? What should we do about that, in your opinion?
It's something that's very scary because they've infiltrated, and it's interesting. I've spoken to other Iranians who are currently in Germany, other Iranian activists that feel the same way that you feel, that they're worried they're going to have to flee again,
Yeah.
that the the things that they ran away from have followed them to Germany. I don't know if there's a way to stop it at this point, honestly. And it's scary because they really infiltrated the way that you said that that they like the Islam, like the conquering of Islam in the Middle East,
Colonization.
the colonization. We spoke about it before that they've infiltrated people's minds.
Podcasting in
Now we're
Iranian
good.
way, you know? Yeah,
Can
we're
you hear me
perfect. It's
now?
perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Just man,
Okay.
just I would like to mention people the reason that Natalie was holding her phone, it was because of sound, but we will continue. And therefore we have some cuts. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But you know,
Sorry, guys.
at the end of the day, we have this beautiful, strong Iranian Jew, Israeli woman. You know, that it's something to stay and watch. You know, and also the important material that she's sharing. So you were saying about you were talking about the infiltration that they've made into Europe,
Yeah.
and you're a bit hopeless. And but and you were talking about the solution. What do you think about that?
I don't I fear that the only solution is for people to suffer the way that Iranians have suffered under the regime to
No,
real
Natalie. Oh my God.
I don't know. I really feel like people, it's human nature that we don't learn from other people's mistakes. It's like a child. When you tell a child, don't touch the stove because it's hot, most of the time the child will still touch it because they need to see it, they need to feel it for themselves. They don't care if you tell them it's hot. They're still going to touch it because that's the it's one of the biggest flaws of human nature is that we don't learn from other people's mistakes. We don't learn from history. We don't learn from the past.
But about
And
Europe, Natalie, um, it seems like because Europe has a different kind of democracy. It's kind of they are combined with elitism and this kind of stuff. And I see this danger and threat is getting promoted or is getting hidden, by the elites in this country, Germany,
mhm.
not by the people. It seems like the majority of the people they can recognize this danger. What should we do about that?
I guess you would know better because you live there. For me as an outsider, I don't feel like I see it that way. I don't feel that I see them that most people recognize this. Maybe Germany is different than the
Mm.
rest of Europe because what I've seen in the rest of Europe, I have very little hope. But maybe Germany is different because Germany, a lot of Germans are the children and grandchildren and great grandchildren of Nazis, and they saw no, and they
Yeah, I know your
because
point.
of that they learn from their history. They see what hate can do, and
Yeah,
they're not proud of their lineage. A big majority of them, I would say.
yeah.
So maybe it's different in Germany because of that, because that's so close in their history. They saw what hate can do, and they don't want to go back to this. So that's why I think maybe in Germany it's a little bit different than the rest of Europe.
And one of the biggest elements that I think we have in Germany that it makes a huge difference is our police forces. Shout out to all women and men in police forces in Germany, especially Berlin Polizei.
I've seen a lot of videos of
You see
the way
them,
the police force
yeah,
reacts to the protests. Yeah,
and you see it's a different approach compared to England, UK, or France. They don't play around.
yeah.
Berlin, especially Berlin Polizei. They don't fuck around. They are there for doing their job, enforcing the law, and I'm so grateful to them. And I think it's maybe a simple thing but I think it's a really important measurement in this kind of analyze.
Hmm.
That's why I personally have hope still for Germany. And also, second hope for Germany is that a person like me is in Germany. Really. I mean, I'm so alone. I've got used to being a minority as an atheist in Iran. I don't know. Here as an immigrant, also atheist, also center left that, um, their communities. They fucked up communities, bunch of so-called feminist women that they don't know shit about feminism, and they kind of have this kind of political correctness in their communities in Berlin. I know
Hmm.
that, it's the capital of them. And every word that you say, it may be racist or fascistic or sexist. Okay,
Hmm.
then tell me that I have to be I have to be deaf. What's it called? Deaf. I have to be
Def.
deaf. I can't talk. So what the fuck is that? I mean, this political correctness. Everything is sexist. Oh, I can't say, for example, you bitch. No, it's sexistic. It's a curse. It's a curse, motherfucker. Why? I mean, you see that how narrow-minded they are. How their perspective is narrow. That they think with forbidden, making the word bitch forbidden. Oh my God, you've achieved the real feminism. You know, they don't have any idea. I don't know. God damn. Oh my God. They are so fucked up. They are so fucked up. Sorry for my language, people. You know who I am if you support the podcast. And fuck. Um, what do you think will happen in America after the death of Charlie Kirk? Because I think it's a turning point for policies and everything in America. What do you think?
From what I've seen online, it scares me how much support I've seen in regards to people thinking that he deserved it. Um, it scares me that we've really lost the younger generation, mostly your generation, Generation Z. Um,
What do you mean we've lost? Who?
we've lost them as human beings. If
Hmm.
you look at how much money was funded through Qatar by these terrorist organizations into the schools in the United States, they've completely brainwashed this entire generation. And that's what I mean when I feel like we lost them and we lost the humanity in them. They've been completely brainwashed. And like you said, he's gonna become a symbol. I think he's gonna be even stronger in his death than he was in his life because he's gonna become this symbol. And I I'm a little nervous to go back to the United States. Honestly, I'm a little nervous to see what I'm gonna come back to what kind of atmosphere there's gonna be there.
Especially
I
New York.
Yeah, I feel like number one, I don't plan on taking public transportation anytime in the near future in the United States in general. I don't feel safe doing so. But I feel like New York, there's a lot of tension. And I'm very nervous to see what happens once it comes to the point whether or not Mamdani wins. And a lot of people keep asking me as a New Yorker, like, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Is he going to win? Is he not going to win? What's going to happen after he wins? I don't have the answers. I know what I'm afraid of, and I know what I hope won't happen, and I really hope that I'm wrong because I'm afraid he is going to win. I'm afraid it's going to be a bad turning point for New York. As you said, like, I'm going to have to move to Florida, and I don't like Florida.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, hurricanes. Yeah. Florida is just for profis, as I've heard. It's hard a bit. You still feel like that you're in a kind of, you're dealing with a barbaric nature. Hurricane is coming into you.
no, I mean, Florida, my problem is that Florida is nice for vacation, but after a few weeks you get tired of it. I can't live there. But
Miami is my dream to
really?
meet
You've
Miami
never
one time.
been?
No, and then Germany is the first Western. I had just fuck it. I don't want to talk it on podcast. But Germany is my first country, basically, the first
Okay.
country outside of Iran.
Well, I hope you come to visit in the United States soon. I'll show you around.
Thank you,
I'll
thank you. I have so many invitations from so many people. I have to work for several months and start my trips because I have invitation from several friends from in Tel Aviv, America, Australia,
Oh, you
and
have to go to Tel Aviv. I always tell people, people think New York is the city that doesn't sleep. It's not true. Tel Aviv is the city that doesn't sleep. You don't understand. It doesn't matter what night of the week it is. You can't get a reservation at any restaurant. All the restaurants are always booked. Everyone's always out. There's always something to do. There's always a party.
tell me it's
It's
Shiraz.
amazing.
It's Shiraz.
It's
Really,
amazing.
it's
And
Shiraz.
and and my dream, you come visit Tel Aviv, I'll show you around Tel Aviv, and then inshallah, I'm gonna come to Shiraz. I'm gonna come to Iran and you show me Shiraz.
Inshallah means if Allah, with Allah's will, or if Allah will
You
want.
you know what's funny? You know what's
So
funny?
fuck inshallah.
In
We want that, not
no,
Allah.
no, listen. People always get confused as a Jew why I would say inshallah. Inshallah in the Persian, in the Iranian Jewish community, it just became a
Yeah,
phrase to say God willing. It doesn't mean that we
yeah,
believe in
yeah.
Allah, we're Jewish. It's just a phrase to say. It's the same way if I would say in Hebrew Bezrat Hashem. It just means God willing to us. It doesn't actually, we don't connect it with Allah. That's what's interesting.
What's the
We
phrase in Hebrew?
Bezrat Hashem, it means God willing in Hebrew.
Bezrat
So
Hashem.
for, yeah, Hashem, which means like
Bezrat
God.
Hashem.
So
Okay.
yes. Oh, very good. So
Yeah, no,
it's
Middle
funny
Eastern blood.
for us, for us, inshallah has nothing to do with Allah. It's just a phrase. It's just a way of saying
Yeah, yeah,
God
that's
willing.
also true. Yeah, yeah, that's also
It, it's
kind of,
like it's like saying
and we
like
don't use it
Khoda.
most of the time. New generations in
Yeah,
Iran, we don't use it.
that's
Yeah,
why I'm telling you. I grew up in Iran of the 1970s.
70.
I don't know the Iran that you speak of. I don't know the new Iran. I know the old-fashioned Iran. That's what I was raised in because that's what our parents raised us with.
For the last topic, let me ask you. First of all, because Jewish communities, Iranian Jewish communities, they were always big supporters of monarchy. And what's your perspective? What's your vision about a future government in Iran?
Democracy, obviously. And I think
Okay.
even the Reza, he said he doesn't have a hope to come back as a monarch. He said he would like to help any opposition party come into power when the regime is taken down. I don't think anybody's hoping that a monarchy comes back to Iran. Iran deserves to be a democracy.
I personally think we can go for a parliamentary democracy with president, um, prime minister, and I personally, as a leftist, with the respect that we have towards our history, I think we have to go for a queen. I mean, it's a
Really? You think
mandatory.
so?
In
But
Iran,
but 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 the queen as more of a as an image rather than an
absolutely
actual, yeah,
no
that
action,
that
nothing, and
yeah, yeah.
it should be mandatory that it has to be just a woman, because I think after Islamic colonization, they have brought Islam brought this misogyny and this kind of
Mhm.
stuff in Iran in the hard way. And whether we like it or not, in some parts we are divided. And they've made a kind of hierarchy that we as men in Iran, we don't follow. But they gave us the option, you know?
Mhm.
And that's something that we have to fight for. And I think with this society that we have, because basically any kind of hope that you have for you and the audience, any kind of hope that you have for the future of Iran, it's because of Gen Z. They've killed the best of us. Gina Mahsa Amini, now if she was alive, she was 25, like me. And they've killed the best of us. And I think at the top, just a cultural thing, a mandatory queen, elected queen, every 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. and going for minority groups, a Kurdish Iranian queen, a Baluchi Iranian queen.
Wow,
It
that's such
will,
an interesting idea. I
and
never thought
Reza
of that
Pahlavi
even.
doesn't talk about this stuff. That's why I have, that's my problem with Reza Pahlavi. And
Hmm.
because the Jewish people, as I said, they are a big supporter of monarchism in Iran. Always they were. And
Well, what about a
first,
Jewish queen like Queen Esther?
yeah, why not? Jewish Iranian queen. And my problem with Reza Pahlavi is that from as outsiders, you see him as a leader of opposition. He's not. He's a big element of opposition. And you think that he has the requirements that he can lead the nation. Unfortunately, still,
I
we
don't think
didn't
so.
have any sign.
I wouldn't say that I feel that way, but do you know that recently a whole group of Iranian opposition went to Israel recently to ask them for advice on how the opposition should form a government and
That's advertisement. That's advert.
yeah.
First of all, that in the government of Israel is a really big democracy. So anyone is in the government, like Modric or Ben Govir,
Oh,
with their language, they
don't
are also in government. Okay.
don't even get me started on them. I,
Interestingly, as I said, Reza Pahlavi is a big element. Crown Prince. I don't have any problem to recognize he's a crown prince. But uh, first of all, the Jewish community supports in Israel. Second of all, there is a woman called Emily. Emily, whatever, she's a journalist.
yeah.
She's the one that she's pushing this narrative. And it's more like advertisement. You know what was it about? It was all about that picture that we saw Israel and the Iranian flag beside each other. And just one time Reza Pahlavi did meet beside a trash can. What the fucked up picture with Netanyahu. Funny wise, right now, it's so interesting. Reza Pahlavi in his Instagram till today, at this time that I'm talking with you, he doesn't follow Netanyahu and he doesn't follow Trump after 12 days war. In my opinion, he is playing the ball in the field of reformists and Saudi Arabia. No accusation, not that he is not fighting for Iranians, but that's the way that he's playing. He's not
Well,
playing with Westerns, I think.
that is something that I do worry about is that there are certain opposition leaders that claim that they have nothing to do with the regime, but they do. I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people are worried about, that when the regime is taken down, there's going to be a very short moment of kind of imbalance,
Yeah.
and the right person has to take over before the wrong person, before an opposition leader who's actually just kind of a second hand of the regime takes over.
And he
Um,
doesn't debate, he doesn't answer hard questions like his convention in Munich. Most of them people, they were ass lickers. One of them, they did sajde, that you're my Kabe, Mr. Reza Pahlavi. We don't have a revolution because after a revolution, we were starting from zero. And we've never had a democracy in our country. That's the first time that we want to achieve it with the holy blood of Jina Mahsa Amini. And that's what we want. Not that, I will criticize his stuff, absolutely. I'm the new generation. I want prosperity. I want economy. I want life. I want woman life, freedom. That's obvious. And radicals. Oh my God! Natalie. How their supporters are so radical.
is there any opposition leader that you think is the right person
We
to kind of lead this movement and really
we
create a
have
real
we Iranians.
democracy?
We Iranians, we have cultural problems because of Islamic colonization. We can't work with each other easily. We can't
Mm-hmm.
get along with each other easily. That's why even our teamwork is not that much good. Although that under 21 volleyball team became the champion of the world. Yeah, and we have these talents. But I think with the new generation, as under 21 volleyball team became the world champion, uh, we are improving it. Now we can work together and uh, shout out to Charlie Kirk and his blood. The point is about talking. The point is about you know, being that we have our differences, but we have to talk.
But I worry that there's too many different like opposition that most Iranians can't agree on who should lead.
Yeah, because most of them, they are either dysfunctional or corrupted or radical. Not that Reza Pahlavi is either of them. He's not that much functional about Reza Pahlavi. But for example, our so-called elites in Iran, they fucked up. They did fuck the whole nation with their coalition with Islamists. They are our elites, and nowadays they have still this anti-imperialistic perspective. They can't get along with Israel. They did condemn that the attack was on Iran. No, it wasn't. It was on Islamic regime. Hundreds of IRGC leaders. Do you know how many people we had to lose for eliminating them? And thank to Israel, they've done that, and they are really changing the face of the Middle East. Bombing Hamas leader in Doha. Yes, that's what we
Crazy,
want. Crazy.
crazy,
You know,
crazy.
they've said fuck Qatar. They don't have even an army. UAE and Saudi Arabia, at least they have an army. They just rely on American protection, and they do whatever they want. They are even a tribe. They are not even a country. They are a tribe. No, really. And they are
It
infiltrating the whole
it's
fucking
crazy that people
universe.
want to claim that Israel was attacking the Iranian people. You saw the way they attacked the leaders. They managed to make one unit in a building explode where a certain leader is living and leave the rest of the building standing.
Yeah.
That's
One
insane.
$1 million rocket. People, it needs money. And it's crazy. But as I said, we don't have any opposition. I'm a realistic person. The way that Woman Life Freedom didn't have any leader, I think we can
Yeah,
do it. And we don't need any oppositional person, I mean, leader. If there is any, like we say in Persian, this eye would be happier than this eye. این چشم از اون چشم خوشحال‌تر. You know? But we don't have it, and I really try to live with realities.
yeah. But that's what's dangerous is we we can't fully get rid of the regime until we know that we have someone that we can trust that will be the right opposition leader. Because then what's going to happen? The regime is going to be taken away, and then the wrong person goes into power.
That's
How is that
another
going to help the
podcast,
Iranian
but
people?
that's another podcast, but I don't know how is it for other
And
people.
and I'm
I
not
can't
enough
trust
of an
Reza
expert
Pahlavi.
on
I
it.
I personally can't trust him.
And I'm here to admit that I'm not enough of an expert to say that I know who should be the right opposition leader. In no way is that my expertise.
No, that's my point, you know. But you're an Iranian citizen, although that they didn't give you your citizenship. Me and you, we are
It's
just
in my
citizens.
blood.
Yeah,
It's in
and
my blood.
the point is, that's what I'm trying to say. I can't also say anyone, but that's my point. Let's stick to the reality, people, because we Iranian we have a huge and long history that we didn't work with reality, and you can see the result.
Yeah.
Qajar, just and I, as a leftist, I really think that Reza Shah, the grandfather of Reza Pahlavi, did rescue Iran. Thank to him, he is a public figure, and he did modernize. He's the father of laicity in Iran. Alongside Ataturk. Although that I don't get along with the stuff that they did to minorities, but you know what the I I don't have this kind of radical idea about monarchism or fuck
Hmm.
all of them. No, I'm just realistic that there is no element that anyone can convince me right now that I can trust any oppositional person in for the leading Iran. That's my whole point.
And that's a big problem.
And that's the problem. So now you see, now that's why you didn't get born in Iran. You understand me better because first of all, as soon as possible, as fast as possible, you did recognize the reality. Okay, Now that we have a recognizable problem, now we can solve it. But that's the problem. Radicals, some supporters of Reza Pahlavi, and these radical leftist so-called elites, they don't want to recognize the problem first, that we don't have any oppositional leader. You know?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Oh my God. I think it's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll save the rest for another episode.
It would be a huge, huge, what's the pleasure for me if you do that. Natalie, it's your Natalie.
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 You know what's so funny? I had my name in Farsi on a necklace, and anytime an Iranian person would see me, they would never say Natalie, they would say Natalie. Like,
Natalie.
and it always made me laugh.
Oh
That's
my
my
God.
Persian name, Natalie.
Natalie June. How are you, Natalie June? Oh my God,
خوبم
I'm so
خوبم.
happy that I see you. Come, please, come, please. Come to my house. I want to cook for you. We have rice, we have tarik, with their accent.
You know what's crazy? I didn't realize until I started my podcast, and we had Iranian guests on the podcast that weren't Jewish. I didn't realize that gondi is only a Iranian Jewish dish. Do you know what gondi is?
I've heard about it, but I don't know what is
You
that.
see, so I didn't realize that it's not something that's common in the rest of Iranian like food. I didn't realize it's something that only we do.
Yeah,
But
this connection, this
but
magnificent connection.
one day when we meet, I'll make you gondi
Thank
so you
you.
can try it.
Thank you. We have lots of stuff to do together, seems like, you have to cook for
Yes.
me Gondi, you have to show me Tel Aviv, show me
You
around.
have to
Also
show
New
me
York.
Shiraz.
Shiraz, oh my God. Tourism industry in Shiraz, it will booming, it can booming.
I think Iran is going to be the highest visited place in the world once the regime is gone.
You're kind of an
100%.
expert. You're kind of an expert. Really, I don't know how, but you've never
Not
been
at
to
all.
Iran, but you have some stuff that they are so realistic, and I don't hear it so often from people. And that's
You know why?
interesting about you.
Because I grew up with a father that until my father served in the Shah's army. My father
Nice.
actually read the Quran multiple times because he had so many Muslim friends growing up in Iran. Um, and I was always raised in a house where he spoke so he's in love with Iran. If Iran was a person, my father would marry Iran. And I think because of that, I feel like Iran was almost taken away from me because my
Yeah.
family had to leave because before the revolution because they knew what was going to happen, and I have like this thirst to see the place and visit the place that was taken away. So
Beautiful.
I
No,
I think
it's
that's
really
why.
beautiful. It's really beautiful. New Yorkers, I love it. New Yorkers, they say beautiful, beautiful. I love this. Oh my God. It's really beautiful. You don't know how much I appreciate your time. It was perfect. What can I say? I mean, it was a lovely conversation, Natalie, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for your time. Thank you for what you're doing. Please keep it up, and your hope. You're a hope for not just Iranians, Middle Eastern, Jewish people, and you have a really, really solid, diverse, interesting identity. You're not
Thank you.
a simple person. You have a really huge potential. Please use it the way that you're using. And I'm not just doing Persian, Iranian Tarof. I'm really honest about it. Really. And
Thank you.
go for it. Go for it. We need a woman like you, a woman like freedom. Shout out to Mr. Sanandaji. آقای سنندجی عجب دختری. Mr. Sanandaji, what a dollar. Thank you. Thank you.
Merci, merci.
بابا دمت گرم. Yeah, shout out to
Merci,
Mr.
merci.
Sanandaji and your mom.
And I think we should end the episode with Women Like Freedom, with Zan Zendegi Azadi,
Zan
because
Zendegi Azadi, and we will go for the music. And don't forget, people, to donate. I can buy better equipments and better qualities and more frequent. I can make you contents. Donation links
yes,
below.
everybody, please donate.
Thank you to Natalie. I'm I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Merci.